My name is Trooper Jakin Clark with the Michigan State Police Department, and today I'm going to talk about suicide victims and how to deter them and to change them back to a thinking like citizen to, make them feel wanted and make them feel comfort in their walk of life, because there are two different kinds of suicide. There's a planned suicide and then there's an unplanned suicide. Most of the time, when you look up some suicide by cop incidents, it is them calling 911 because someone has a gun, and it's normally them who has like a fake gun who is waving around pointing at police officers and stuff. And a lot of the time police officers shoot because that's what they're trained to do. Obviously, if that was a real gun, it would be a different situation, and how would they know if it was a real gun or not? That's kind of the spontaneous suicide by cop awareness that spontaneously happens, and that's just the way a lot of people do it because it's the easiest way. If you get shot, normally you die or whatever, and that's kind of the way they're looking into it. Or if they survive, at least they were on the news, they were noticed, stuff like that. Because mental illness is 67% confirmed illness diagnosis, with 19% schizophrenia, 16% bipolar disease, 14% with depression, 38% as prescribed with mental health and medication. There's also 84% that were homeless. Most homeless people carry knives to protect themselves against threats that they experience in the street. Often there are signs of suicide by cop, and normally 28% of them are 911 calls, like I said, with a mentally ill suspect that calls it out themselves, basically with a knife or with a gun, to able to be used by lethal force by the officers. And so responding to those calls, you have to be able to kind of think and really piece apart a situation. So if a suspect is armed, normally they're going to shoot at the police. Normally, if they point the gun at you and they shoot, obviously there's a problem there. But if they're aiming the gun at you and they're just talking, and they talk for hours, and they talk for, normally it's like a 16% chance that they're not going to pull the trigger because it's not a real gun. And that can be used to, in that time frame, obviously the officers know that if there is a gun, then they must be able to use self-defense. They don't want to, you don't want to die. You want to go home to your families. But in that time when they're pointing the gun at you and you're telling them to put the gun down, that is the time, that is the crucial time to be talking to them, trying to calm down the situation, tell them to put the gun down, that they're wanted, that they're loved, and all that. That's the key role. Is the dispatcher. The dispatcher's job is to determine if it's a suicide or not, and then get back to the officer. And that's kind of the deal. So what I'm saying is, a lot of information right off the get from the dispatcher to the officer can predict a suicide by cop, and they are really good at that. But this is Trooper Jakin Clark, signing off because I've hit my time mark.